I just got off work and ran into a college classmate at the subway station. He asked me, after all these years, when I would forgive Liu Ruyan. Liu Ruyan was my childhood sweetheart. 5 years ago, we almost got married, but at the engagement banquet the night before getting our marriage certificate, she publicly broke off the engagement. She said something about being unwilling to be a substitute for my white moonlight and wished me and her a happy life together. Then, she grabbed her graduate junior and turned away. I wanted to explain in confusion that I never had a so-called white moonlight, but I was hurt so deeply that I eventually left Jingbei. Liu Ruyan has always had you in her heart, he said. If it wasn't for you having a white moonlight back then and using her as a substitute, she would have married you long ago. Now, as long as you are willing to admit your mistake, she can continue the former relationship with you. Continue the former relationship? I laughed. My child is already 3 years old. What relationship is there to continue? Qisheng's eyes widened and he stared at me blankly as if he had heard some fairy tale. Mar married? His voice stammered. The child is already in kindergarten? I nodded, not wanting to waste any more words. I turned to leave, but he grabbed me with surprising strength. Impossible, Chenze. You aren't lying to me, are you? He was emotional, causing people waiting for the train nearby to look over at us. You loved Liu Ruyan so much. Who in the entire Jingbei circle didn't know? For her, you even gave up the chance to be recommended to a prestigious university. How could you be willing to marry someone else? I frowned. Hearing these old matters from his mouth felt only ironic. I indeed loved Liu Ruyan very much. Loved her enough to give up everything for her. But that is all in the past. Why would I lie to you? I asked back. My indifference seemed to stimulate him. Then who is your wife? What does she do? Is she as beautiful as Liu Ruyan? Is her family background good? He asked a string of questions, his words full of inexplicable hostility, as if I had married someone unpresentable. I ignored him and tried hard to shake off his hand, but he gripped tighter, being relentless. Chenze, are you doing this on purpose? I know you suffered grievances back then, but it's been 5 years. Any anger should have cooled. Do you know how Liu Ruyan lived these 5 years? He started talking to himself with a tone of showing off. As the only daughter of the Liu family, Ruyan was no worse than a man after taking over the Liu Corporation. She made bold reforms, and now the market value of the Liu Corporation has tripled. She has become the most eye-catching newcomer in the business world. How many wealthy families want to win her over? But she has remained chaste for you. Except for Yi Tengcheng, her working partner. She hasn't even had a boyfriend. Everyone says she's a fool in love, wasting 5 years of her life for a man who doesn't know how to cherish her. The Liu Ruyan in his mouth was affectionate and excellent, like a perfect tragic heroine, but listening to it only made me feel disgusted. I remembered a phone call I received before leaving Jingbei. It was from Liu Ruyan's father, Uncle Liu. His voice was as gentle and polite as ever, yet it carried an unquestionable detachment. Chen Zi, Uncle knows you've been wronged. On the other end of the phone, he sighed softly. Ruyan is just spoiled by us. She has too much of a young lady's temper. He first soothed me, then changed the subject. But then again, it's normal for young people to have friction when dating. Ruyan is the only daughter in our family, and the pressure of inheriting the business is very high. The help we give her is only temporary. What she needs is a partner who can help and guide her by her side. I held the phone at the time without making a sound. I understood the meaning behind his words. I've met Yi Tengcheng's child a few times. He has a great business mind and is very steady. He has great achievements in academia and shares many common topics with Ruyan. He is also a great help to the career. Uncle Liu's voice was very light, but every word struck my heart. And you? Being gentle is good, but in Ruyan's position, her future husband needs to be decisive and have means. Have means! So in his eyes, all my kindness and gentleness became not having enough means. I grew up in the Liu family, and he watched me grow up, treating me like his own. Yet at the critical moment, 20 years of affection couldn't compare to a sentence about being, quote, helpful to the career. It turns out that in the eyes of these wealthy families, social status and career assistance are always more important than childhood feelings. I said nothing then. I just silently hung up and blocked the entire family's contact information. Chenze, Are you even listening to me? Seeing me distracted, Kei Chang hit me dissatisfactorily. Liu Ruyan is so good to you, and now you've married an ordinary person. Are you content? Don't you regret it? Regret? I looked at him like I was looking at a fool. I am living very well, I told him clearly, word by word. My life doesn't need anyone to worry about. Good night. I no longer gave him a chance to entangle me. I forcefully shook off her hand and turned away. After I left Jingbei, I cut ties completely with that old circle. I changed my phone number, my address, and my city. So they all thought I was still standing in the same place, waiting for that proud and dazzling woman to turn back and save me. But they didn't know that my life had long since opened a new chapter, and Liu Ruyan was just a misspelled word crossed out on the previous page. The train arrived. I got off and walked into the kindergarten near my home. Through the fence, I saw my daughter playing on the slide with her classmates, laughing brightly. A graceful figure walked up to her and picked her up. It was my wife, Yu Yue. Seeing me, she immediately smiled. I walked up quickly and took the child from her arms. Wife, why are you back so early today? She took the bag from my hand and naturally held my hand. Of course, I missed you guys, so I came back early. I smiled and pinched my daughter's chubby cheeks. My daughter rubbed against my chest and called Daddy in a milky voice. This moment of warmth was enough to withstand all the coldness in the world. Regret? What do I have to regret? Liu Ruyan and I were neighbors, growing up together. She was 2 years older than me and had protected me since childhood. If anyone dared to bully me, she was the first to rush up and fight. Everyone said Chenzhe was Liu Ruyan's eyeball and couldn't be touched. I also thought we would go on like this forever, from school uniforms to wedding dresses until Yi Tengcheng appeared. He was Liu Ruyan's graduate senior, a man who was gentle yet had a sharp edge. He began to appear frequently by Liu Ruyan's side under the guise of academic exchange, soaking in the library together, doing projects together, and attending academic forums together. At first I didn't care. There was never a lack of excellent males around Liu Ruyan, but she only had eyes for me. I had enough confidence in her. The first time I felt uneasy was at a friend's gathering. Everyone was playing Truth or Dare. Yi Tengcheng lost and chose Dare. The task was to tell a secret of someone present. His gaze circled around the crowd and finally landed on me with a face full of apology. Chenzi, I'm sorry, I'm going to tell your secret. He laughed, his tone a bit hesitant. I accidentally saw Chenzi's phone wallpaper last time. It was a photo of him and a girl. That girl was very beautiful. I wonder who she is. The eyes of the whole room immediately focused on me, and some turned to Liu Ruyan. The bright smile on Liu Ruyan's face faded. It's my cousin, I explained immediately. She passed away 2 years ago. That's the only photo I have with her. Sorry, Yi Tengcheng apologized hurriedly. I didn't know it was like that. I really didn't do it on purpose. He looked extremely guilty, and everyone joined in to smooth things over, so the matter passed. But when we got home that night, Liu Ruyan still asked about it. Your cousin? How come I never heard you mention her? Her health was always poor, and she spent years recovering abroad. Of course, you've never met her. I handed her the phone. In the photo, a young girl leaned on a hospital bed, her face pale but her smile gentle. I stood next to her, my smile a bit forced. Look, we even look a bit alike. Liu Ruyan looked for a long time before finally giving the phone back to me. Quite alike. She believed it on the surface, but I could feel that a seed of doubt had been planted in her heart. From then on, Yi Tengcheng always inadvertently mentioned me in front of Liu Ruyan. Ruyan, Chenzi has such a good personality. He has so many friends. Unlike me, my circle is too narrow. Ruyan, I saw Chenzi watching a movie with a girl yesterday. He's so popular. Ruyan, is Chenzi about to graduate? He loves playing so much, can he adapt to a 9-to-5 job? He never spoke ill of me directly. Every sentence was a compliment, but every sentence seemed to imply something, implying I had too many female friends, implying I was frivolous, and implying I wasn't steady enough. Liu Ruyan started to become suspicious and jealous. We had our first fierce quarrel over this. It was an academic banquet. Liu Ruyan insisted on bringing me. At the banquet, I ran into a senior who had looked after me at my internship company, so we chatted a bit more. Liu Ruyan's face went cold on the spot. She left me alone in the banquet hall and walked out. I chased her out and found her in the parking lot. Ruyan, what's wrong with you again? What's wrong with me? She sneered. Chenzi, when you were chatting happily with another woman in front of me, did you ever consider my feelings? That's my senior. We were talking about work. She's even married with children. Does talking about work require laughing so happily? She roared. I looked at her face, distorted by jealousy, feeling both strange and exhausted. Ruyan, can you please calm down? I have never betrayed you. My love for you is real. I'm not calm enough? She grabbed my wrist suddenly. Do you think I'm controlling you too strictly, like a shrew? Do you feel I'm not as gentle and considerate as your dead cousin? I didn't understand why she had to bring up my cousin again. I was so angry I was shaking. Liu Ruyan, that was a relative within 3 generations. What on earth are you saying? I was trembling with rage, but she only looked at me with hatred and ran away. That time, we were in a Cold War for a long time. I thought our relationship just had a small friction, but I didn't expect it to be just the beginning of the break. During the week of the Cold War with Liu Ruyan, I looked for her no fewer than 10 times, but she didn't respond once. Finally, she blocked and deleted me. Previously, every time we argued, she would soften up and communicate with me within 3 days at most. But this time, she didn't. I held a grudge in my heart, but with the engagement banquet approaching, I thought she would eventually come to me. The night before the engagement banquet, I received a message from Yi Tengcheng. It was a photo. In the photo, Liu Ruyan was drunk, sleeping soundly on his shoulder. Yi Tengcheng's head leaned slightly toward her, with a victor's smile at the corner of his mouth. Below the photo was a line of text. Ruyan is under a lot of pressure. You should be more understanding of her. I looked at that photo with a troubled mind, but I still comforted myself that she was just drunk, and Yi Tengcheng was just taking care of her. It was my fault for not being by her side. On the day of the engagement banquet, I dressed carefully, controlled the environment in advance, and arranged many gifts, wanting to give her a surprise. I found her in the lounge. She was wearing a matching outfit with me, so beautiful it was hard to look away. Seeing me, her eyes dodged for a moment. Ruyan, I stepped forward proactively, wanting to hold her hand. Let's stop fighting, okay? But she seemed as if she had been electric shocked. She violently shook off my hand. The force was so great that it caught me off guard, and I stumbled. I looked at her in disbelief. Guests began to enter, and the MC was ready on stage. As the protagonists, we stood at the front. The spotlight hit us. I struggled to squeeze out a smile, wanting to maintain the superficial peace. Liu Ruyan, however, didn't even bother to pretend. She kept a cold face throughout and wouldn't even look at me. When the MC asked us to exchange rings, the fatal blow came. She shook off my hand again and questioned me with cold eyes in front of all the guests. Is it very interesting to treat me as a substitute? The whole place was in an uproar. My head buzzed, and I was completely stunned. Ruyan, what are you saying? Aren't you clear in your heart about what I'm saying? She sneered and took a letter out of her bag. The paper was pink and fragrant, obviously bought with care. What is this? I asked. This is the love letter you wrote to your white moonlight, she shouted. Yi Tengcheng found it in my study. She unfolded the letter and read it aloud. Those ambiguous and mushy words coming from her mouth were like knives carving into my heart. I didn't, I explained in a panic. I didn't write this. You didn't write it? Liu Ruyan laughed until tears came out of the corners of her eyes. Handwriting can be imitated, but the perfume scent on this paper is exactly the same as the one you use. Chen Zhe, how much longer are you going to act? I was stunned by this sudden slander and humiliation. I looked at the shocked expressions of my parents in the audience, the grim faces of Liu Ruyan's parents, and the contemptuous and sympathetic gazes of the guests. I felt like a joke. After finishing the letter, Liu Ruyan crumpled the paper into a ball and threw it at my face. Then, she took out the engagement ring that was supposed to be on my finger and threw it heavily onto the ground. I wish you and your white moonlight a happy life together. She said every word with absolute clarity. After speaking, she took Yi Tengcheng, who was pretending to persuade her while hiding triumph in his eyes, and left resolutely amidst the sympathetic gazes of everyone. At that moment, my world collapsed. The farce of the engagement banquet made me the joke of the entire Jingbei circle. Everyone said I was a scum who played with hearts, dangling the Liu family heir while still being entangled with a white moonlight. Rumors flooded over me like a tide. The Liu family offered no explanation, letting the rumors ferment. I became that gold-digging man who stopped at nothing to cling to a wealthy family, and eventually suffered the consequences. I was completely disheartened by the Liu family and Liu Ruyan. I didn't explain a single word, because I knew that someone who no longer trusted me wouldn't believe anything I said. I deleted all contact information, deactivated my social media accounts, and bought a one-way ticket alone to leave Jingbei. This city where I had lived for 20 years held nothing worth my lingering. Keichang probably told Liu Ruyan the news that I was already married with a child. My phone began to be bombarded by various strange numbers, some local, some from Jingbei. Calls and messages came one after another. I ignored them all and blocked them all. She seemed to be driven to desperation. A few days later, just as I walked out of the office building, I was blocked by someone. It was Liu Ruyan. Not seeing her for 5 years, she had shed her youthfulness and become more mature and charming, but there was a heavy hostility between her brows. She stared at me intently, her eyes red and bloodshot. "Why don't you answer my calls?" Her voice was hoarse, as if she hadn't rested well in a long time. I said nothing and tried to bypass her, but she grabbed my arm. Her sharp nails seemed as if they were going to pierce my skin. "Chen Zhe, I'm asking you a question," she roared. I was in pain from her grip and frowned. "We have nothing to do with each other anymore. Please let go." My detachment and coldness completely enraged her. She questioned me frantically. "Nothing to do with each other? You say it so easily. You disappeared for 5 years without a word, and now you have a child with someone else. What do you take me for?" Her questioning sounded utterly ridiculous to me. "You would rather marry an ordinary person who came out of nowhere than come back and explain a word to me?" She looked at me with red eyes, like a trapped beast that had been abandoned. "Chen Zi, did you never love me?" She asked me if I loved her, after using a forged letter to humiliate me in front of everyone, after she let rumors destroy me and ignored me, after she and Yiteng Cheng were inseparable and lived happily for 5 years. She ran here to question me about why I didn't love her. Looking at her painful expression, my heart felt no ripples. I even found it somewhat ironic